Nice. You see it, Stacy?
No, it's not on, Kim. Oh, there we go. We're on. Good. You're
Okay.
good. Good job. All right.
Are we ready?
I think so. Do you want me to give the welcome, everybody?
Certainly so.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our evening with Joe Jaworski for Texas. We're excited to have you all here. My name's Stacy Osborne. I'm the communications director for the Democrats of Comal County, and we're really, really happy to be hosting this meeting tonight. So welcome to all of you. I want to let you know that this is being broadcast on YouTube. So just be aware that there's a live stream going on YouTube, and it'll be recorded later as well. So watch your language and just be aware. Also, if all of you could keep your mics on mute, if you're not speaking, it really helps a lot, and not to have background noise just makes it a lot easier on everybody. So we really appreciate you being here. I am going to turn the time over to Kim Farlow, who is the president of the Democrats of Comal County, and she'll kind of introduce our guests and let you know what's going on. Kim.
Hello, everyone. We're excited to have Joe Jaworski tonight, and we have an additional special guest, Jenny Sue. What makes me excited about this is Joe Jaworski has announced that he's running for Texas Attorney General ahead of time to where we can get to know him better. Of course, his name is very well known. First thing I thought about was Watergate when I read that last name. So anyway, and Jenny Sue reached out to us about a month or two ago once she has started thinking about running for Texas Senate District 25. And so it's great to have a chance to get to hear from him tonight and ask some questions. So I'm going to turn it back over to Stacy to introduce Jenny Sue.
Great. Thank you so much, Kim. And I want to welcome Jenny Sue tonight. Jenny is running for Texas State Senate in Senate District 25 as a proud Democrat. She's a community organizer, a parent, and a former attorney. She is running for Texas Senate because she wants to represent the people of Senate District 25, no matter who they are, help improve their lives, and fight for what's right. I'll give you a little bit of background on Jenny. She is the eldest child of Korean immigrants. While her parents worked very hard when she was growing up, she has dealt with the realities of living without luxuries like health insurance. Jenny earned her undergraduate degree in biology and then went on to graduate school for biology and then law school. After that, she is a former attorney who has spent many years organizing and advocating at the Texas State Capitol. And now she's ready to take her determination and her drive to the state Senate and work towards ensuring that our government makes decisions based on science, facts, and common sense, something I think we can all get behind. Jenny, welcome. We're really glad to have you tonight.
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, Stacy. I am so happy to be speaking to the Democrats of Comal County tonight. I'm just going to take a few minutes because I know tonight's main speaker is Joe, and I don't want to eat into his time. So I'll just quickly introduce myself and say that if there's a chance that I can speak at length on a future date, I would love to arrange that. So as Stacy said, my name is Jenny Sue. I am running for Texas State Senate in Senate District 25. I think it's time that the people in our district have an elected official that cares for them and listens to them. I'm not sure that everyone in our district feels that way right now, so it's time. I do believe I'm the best candidate for this seat, and I'm going to tell you why. As you just heard, I have a background in science, and I've always been into science and health, and I even thought about going to medical school at one point. I actually have taken that passion and turned it into advocacy. So I'm the founder and leader of Immunize Texas. We're a pro-vaccine grassroots advocacy group. And I've worked with people on all sides about vaccination issues. And what I can tell you is that no matter where you're coming from, we can all agree on one thing, that Texas needs better healthcare policies. We need better access to healthcare. We need better healthcare and health insurance policies, because when we don't have those basic things in place, people suffer. And that reality has not been seen to the extent it has until this COVID pandemic hit. And now we're seeing all the gaps in the system. And I can see it very clearly, having worked in this space for so long, how those gaps affect everyday people. For instance, today I spent a few hours just trying to help people get COVID vaccine appointments. And it's been an eye-opening experience doing that kind of work, because this is not how it should be. The vaccine rollout should not be this difficult. We should not have people who are suffering and waiting for their appointment. And really, it's become an issue where people who have broadband access, who have the time, who have the ability to be on the computer and refresh, these websites over and over again, are getting first pick. And I'm lucky enough to have that ability to do that for people. And I'm always happy to help people find appointments, because not everyone in our district has those options in front of them. And as Stacy mentioned, I did grow up without health insurance. So I also know that side of things. I know what it's like to, for instance, try to compress all of your dental care into one visit because your parents can only afford to take you once every couple of years. And it is not fun. And I've seen my own family members also suffer. My father suffered from a very late diagnosis of cancer, mainly because he did not have the ability to see doctors regularly. This needs to change. It's 2021. Texans should not be suffering without these basic needs that are being left unmet. And it's got to change for our district, and I'm ready to do that kind of work. You can also see that I'm running as an Asian American woman. That's a big part of my identity. I think that it's not a secret that when you have the skin color I have and a name that is not a typical American name, that it can be difficult in life. I know what it's like to have people sort of judge me before even having met me based on my name and who I am. But I've still accomplished a lot. As Stacy mentioned, I'm an attorney. I've owned some small businesses. Currently, I serve on a board of a nonprofit, all because of my accomplishments, and I'm very proud of them. But I don't want to mistake my accomplishments as meaning that the work is already done and that there's nothing left to do. We know that there's more that needs to be done to have truly an equitable Texas in our future. We need to have more opportunities for people who are marginalized, and we need to make sure that they are not left behind as Texas progresses into the future. And then I also know that there are communities in our district that are suffering from environmental issues. As these companies come in and want to develop, there needs to be a balance between responsible development and making sure that our constituents are not going to have to worry about their air and their water being compromised and being unsafe for their families. So again, going back to my science background, this is a very important issue for me, and I'm ready to fight for the people of SD25. And then finally, probably the most important part of my platform has to go back to public education. I'm a former teacher. I used to teach science to 6th graders, 8th graders, and 11th graders. I'm also a parent. I have an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old. They're enrolled in public school, and I can see where the gaps are. I've been an advocate for public education almost as long as I've been an advocate for public health. I'm a part of the Texas PTA. I've served as PTA president. I can see why we need to change the public education system so that it's fully funded and supported. And I really feel in my sort of view of things, that's how we can solve a lot of problems in SD25. Because if you have better public education, then you can expect that your children will have access to better jobs. If we have better public education, then we can also expect that our decision makers will make better decisions based on logic and reason instead of these gut reaction type decisions we see being made, or focusing on things that really don't matter to most of the people in the district, things like bathroom bills or whether or not the national anthem is sung at football games. I mean, there are real problems for the people in our district, and it's time that we actually focused on those real problems. So overall, I would just say, a vote for me is a vote for common sense. And supporting me is about bringing logic back to the Texas Senate, and I think it's sorely needed and it's time. And right now, I'll just wrap up by saying there are 3 things that I would ask if anyone is interested in helping out and getting me well on my way towards becoming a Texas State Senator. The first, of course, being donations. I have a website, jennysuefortexas.com. When you go to that site, you can see the links for donations. I'm also looking for more volunteers. So if you can't donate your money, then please donate your time. There's a lot of work to be done in the district, especially with voter outreach and getting out the vote. So the more volunteers I have, the more people I can reach. And then finally, my name. Please, after today's Zoom call or YouTube stream, whichever one you're doing right now, please share my name with 3 or 5 friends and family members, because the more people hear my name, the more likely it is that they will vote for me, because it won't be a strange sounding name. It will just be the default option that is what they choose and what makes sense for them. So thank you again for giving me this time to speak to you. I will now turn it back over to Kim, I guess, so that Joe can now speak. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jenny. I'm going to turn it over to Marilyn Aden, who is Democrats of Comal County Vice President, and she will introduce Joe Jaworski.
And Joe Jaworski earned his bachelor's from North Carolina's Davidson College and his law degree from University of Texas in Austin. In 2021, he enters his 30th year of law practice, currently specializing in mediating claims brought by military contractors for personal injuries arising from the war on terror. Joe Jaworski is a 3rd-generation Texas trial attorney and former mayor of Galveston, Texas. Joe's term as mayor was defined by his unwavering support for and success in rebuilding Galveston's storm-devastated public housing, a political choice that made a positive difference for thousands of island residents, but cost him a 2nd term. His family legacy is one of integrity and ethics. Joe's grandfather, Watergate Special Prosecutor Leon Jaworski, had the guts to take on President Nixon and Nixon's corrupt administration by fighting for justice in our nation's highest court. Leon Jaworski's legacy after Watergate, a family value which Joe honors daily, is no one is above the law. In Texas, too many of our public officials think they are above the law. We need someone who can restore integrity to public service in Texas, someone who chooses right over wrong, and who will use our legal system to fight for fairness and justice. We need an attorney general with the courage to stand up to the politically powerful. Joe is prepared to do just that. And now I have the honor to introduce, hopefully, the next Attorney General of Texas, Joe Jaworski.
All right. Marilyn, thank you so much. What a lovely introduction. And Jenny, great to see you again. You know, just imagine if she was your senator. We can have nice things. I'm confident of it. We can have good leaders. We don't have to go with the status quo. And I often wonder, you know, what's it going to take? Is it bad enough now? I mean, is now the time? You know, because I got to tell you, my political awakening began over 30 years ago when I was in my 3rd year of law school. I had met my wife. We had been married. She was in law school too. Her name was Hughes, mine Jaworski. And so our lockers were alphabetically adjacent. And so, yeah, that's how we met, at the lockers. I mean, it was like 6th grade again, you know, but we fell in love quickly and were married right away. And so by our 3rd year, you know, we were a young couple with law degrees. And so anyone will tell you, if you're a lawyer, 3rd year is a lot easier than the 1st year, and especially the spring semester. So I had a little extra time on my hands, and I would often go do the shopping for the groceries. And this is in Austin, Texas, by the way, 43rd and Duval, where Mother's and a couple of other great restaurants are. It has a great grocery store. It's still there, Fresh Plus. And I was in there on a Wednesday at about noon, and oh my God, there she was in produce, Governor Ann Richards. May 1991. So think about it. She's 5 months into her term. And there I was, this starstruck 3rd year law student. So I walked up to her, obviously, and I had to talk to her. And I said, Governor, you know, I'm Joe Jaworski, you know, and she was so nice. And we talked for, you know, 10 minutes or so, believe it or not. And I don't remember the exact substance of the conversation, but I do remember to this day how I felt because of her warmth. I felt validated, I felt optimistic, and I felt hope. I thought, this is great. I'm about to graduate law school. I'll be licensed as an attorney in November. We have a progressive government in place. We have a great governor. The future is so bright. And then in 1994, she left office. And we've had George Bush and Rick Perry and Greg Abbott, John Cornyn, Greg Abbott, Ken Paxton. Do I have to go on? Do we have to go on like this? So I often wonder, is it going to be a blue wave? Is it going to be more surgical? I love the metaphor of the blue wave. I hope it does happen. But I also have a theory that if it's going to be one office, it's going to be the Texas Attorney General that flips. And I have a theory as to why that is. It seems that in the primary system, especially with the two-party duopoly, I guess is the word, we're used to our gubernatorial candidates and our legislative candidates proposing extreme solutions, and honestly, the Republican Party has really become very extreme. I don't even know if it's right to call them the Republican Party. It's an uber conservative movement that, as Jenny referred to, is focused more on bathroom bills and virtue signaling and culture wars than it is on good government. And we found that out the hard way last month during the ERCOT disaster, where people died due to hypothermia in their own homes because the electrical grid failed. And that's what you get when government is playing games with culture war rather than serving as good governors and active good government public servants. But it doesn't have to be that way. And I've often wondered, if you've got the wild extremists running for governor and legislative seats, there's something different about the Attorney General. Ideally, the Attorney General is supposed to be the adult in the room, the one who has the key to the box where the rule of law safely resides. And so when that person becomes extreme, it's more pronounced and it's more visible, and people often are not comfortable with that. Such is the case with our Attorney General, Ken Paxton. And I think that he is decadent and he's failing us greatly, and it's time for his removal. Now, he won't resign. The House won't impeach him. And so it's going to be up to Texas voters to do it the old-fashioned way, to remove him by the vote. I present myself as your candidate so that you can do that. We have to have candidates of ethics and integrity to run against someone like that. And it is my honor to present myself for your consideration. I'm asking for your vote. I know it's about a year away for the primary, but it's going to be here before we know it. And what I would ask our Democratic clubs, who are the lifeblood of our Texas democracy, whether it's Comal County or, as we did last week, Senate District 22, Johnson County, McLennan County, and all the rural counties near Waco. And I asked them, I said, let's don't wait until the primary next year to finally resolve who our candidate is going to be, because it's going to be too late at that point. When you're running against an institutional monarchy, almost, the way they're acting, a totalitarian touch every time Ken Paxton says, here's my deadline. If you don't rescind the mask ordinance based on sound public health policy, I'll sue you. And my team and I, we thought about what a lovely totalitarian touch that 6 p.m. deadline was. So this is what you get when you have these culture warriors running your government. And are we angry yet? Are we angry enough to do something about it? I know you are. And it's just going to be our job now, as Jenny said, to tell friends, like that old shampoo commercial. You remember, I told two friends who told two friends. That was one of my favorite commercials. We need to do that. We need to get people on the phone via email and get them enlisted so that they vote. And I've been also thinking, we need to get Republicans to do this too, especially in the Ken Paxton situation. And I was, just as an exercise, a friend challenged me to write a letter for his signature so that he could send it out to his Republican friends. What would Joe Jaworski write? And I said, well, that's a good exercise. I'm going to do it right now. And I did that today. And here's what I wrote. The Texas Attorney General, a constitutional executive responsible for 4,200 employees and a $1.2 billion biennium budget, is arguably our most powerful statewide office holder. The Texas AG intersects law and politics. He represents the state of Texas in all courts, issues legal guidance on unsettled questions of law, and he exercises vast authority in resolving public information, consumer protection, child support, charitable trusts, and public finance issues. It truly matters that our Texas Attorney General be an effective, ethical leader. Indicted Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has embarrassed and outraged Texas Republicans and Democrats alike. His personal and professional conduct has proved so reprehensible, his entire leadership team turned him in to the FBI. Ken Paxton has caused usually competing partisans to agree. Paxton must go. I'm going to stop there. So we're coming for you, Ken. And what I would say is that we needs to be everybody in Texas. Now, the Democrats are going to lead this because, you know, we're the party that obviously is best suited to remove him. I think he will be challenged in a Republican primary. Whoever it is will probably lose to him because the Republican Party has careened way far to the right with Allen West as their chairman. Greg Abbott will probably be, I mean, if all indicators are, he'll be challenged. And so that's what we're seeing now is this rush to the right to show their bona fides. And that's why, that's why no one wants to talk about ERCOT, but they want to talk about masks and they want to talk about social media censorship and voting. You know, we can't let people vote. So I have a platform I'd like to share with you because I think it's important to point out Ken Paxton's behavior and why it's unacceptable for Texans of all ideologies. But it's also important to have a platform that stands on its own, regardless who the opponent is. And so here it is. I will never embarrass you in the United States Supreme Court. I will never file frivolous litigation in any court, state or federal. When Attorney General Joe Jaworski files, it will be on behalf of all Texas consumers to protect their rights, not to pull a political stunt. My second point is I will support the Affordable Care Act, paragraph. And that's important because we need a statewide constitutional executive to stand up for the notion that healthcare matters for all Texans and to draw down our tax dollars back from Washington, D.C. $5.6 billion in Medicaid is left on the table due to a political choice of our Republican leadership. And I hope and look forward to the opportunity to present that fact to rural Texas, because Medicaid is going to help sustain our vital network of rural hospitals, all those hospitals west of I-35, all that population. A third point is I think it's time Texas legalized cannabis. Let's join the rest of modern society in America and do this because we need the money. It'll generate $1.1 billion every legislature if we tax at the moderate Colorado rate. Also, our veterans, many of whom I mediate for, as Marilyn pointed out, and our chronic pain sufferers, wherever their background, they deserve a palliative that is something other than opioids. It's finally time for Texas to fight a winning war against opioid addiction. Well, there's also the social and criminal justice reform aspect. Too many young lives have been burdened irreparably forever due to that first conviction based on simple possession of marijuana. And, you know, it's principally lives of color, let's be honest. And a lot of these young men and women are put in private prisons. And I got to tell you, if it's one thing that really shocks me is the notion that if a society can't even dedicate the tax dollars to build their own prisons to house their own citizens who are breaking the law, and you put that off on a for-profit entity to house more people, then you have real social problems in your society that need to be dealt with first before you build any more private prisons, and especially putting someone in for simple possession. And then I think the final point on this is let's do respect our police officers. Let's respect our county and district prosecutors. And by that, I mean, let's take away this wasteful, petty prosecution that takes up 50% of their time so that they can fight real crime, domestic abuse, rape, violence, murder. We want a safe society. People possessing personal amounts of marijuana do not make society unsafe. And you know, that's my message on that. Now, as a former mayor, this one really means something to me. I served as mayor and city councilman before that for 6 years. And I believe local government is the best government. It certainly is the most responsive government. You know, you can have coffee with your mayor, with your county judge. Try going to Austin to get an audience with Greg Abbott or Ken Paxton. It won't happen. You know, I believe in the innovation that local government can come up with. Oftentimes it's the, you know, test experiment for larger government. And so if you're Denton, for example, and you want to ban fracking, or if you're Corpus Christi and you are concerned about marine life and you want to have a plastic bag ban, or Kerr County on the Guadalupe River, and you're concerned about aggregate mining and you'd like to limit that, or let's say you're Harris County and the innovative clerk, Chris Hollins, would like to address people's concerns about COVID. And so he wants to send an application for a mail-in ballot to all those who are registered. Or if Austin and Galveston have this in common, they were concerned about Uber drivers and they wanted extra layers of security background checks. All of these things ruled illegal by the Republican leadership, because they like to look up at DC and say, hands off, don't tell us what to do. But when it's time to look downstream, it's nope, cities, you can't do it that way. You need to take it from us. One size does fit all. Well, I disagree. I don't think one size fits all. And I think Texas is big enough, and an attorney general can step in and respect the differences among cities. People should be able to live, if they want, in a liberal town or a conservative town, because, you know, just because they're picking on you know, metropolitan urban areas, which typically trend blue, that doesn't mean that the same rule wouldn't apply to a more conservative town. So I would say, let's treat everyone fairly. Let's let everyone be themselves. Let Amarillo be Amarillo. Let's let Austin be Austin. Let Tyler be Tyler. Let Brownsville be Brownsville, and on and on. And New Braunfels, a special place, a beautiful place. New Braunfels and Galveston have something in common. We both have Schlitterbahn, right? And I think you've got the original one. And then a final point, and this is where it all comes down to. You know, Ken Paxton makes much to do about his voter fraud division. He's so proud of it. He talks about it all the time. He spent so much money and time and staff hours on it and has very little to show for it. But the real message is, and here's what he's really saying: be careful. Don't make a mistake with your vote, because we'll be there to arrest you. I mean, what a horrible message about our most basic building block of democracy, the vote. I mean, I think that's voter suppression in and of itself. Most people would think, look, the risk is too great, I'll just not bother. What a sad thing to say. Instead, when you turn 18, it ought to be the first thing on your list to do. I mean, how exciting it must be to be 18 and vote. Your voice matters. But Ken Paxton and his ilk would like to suppress that. Don't make a mistake. Don't sign your name wrong. Don't put your address wrong, because we'll arrest you. It's wrong. It's voter suppression. So my promise to you is, when elected, I'll take Ken Paxton's voter fraud division and turn that into Joe Jaworski's voter access division. Big difference between me and Mr. Paxton. So imagine if you had an attorney general who absolutely will fight fraud, but who understands philosophically the best way to dilute fraud so as to ensure the integrity of every election outcome is to provide for more legal voting. More legal voting. So I want to be the agency that people turn to when they're standing in line at 7 o'clock, but they close the doors. You have to call the ACLU or your lawyer for that. They should be able to call the Attorney General, and the Attorney General should make sure that doesn't happen. I want to be the agency where people whose signatures don't exactly match are denied their franchise, because it just needs to be similar. It needs to be identifiable. And if you have somebody who's being unfair and hypercritical in their analysis, then that needs to be stopped. And we need people who want to be innovative in allowing the vote to expand, like 24-hour voting, drive-through voting, multiple Sunday voting so that people can do that from church. I mean, these are good things. This is community building. And I think there needs to be statewide leaders who support that sort of thing. Well, so that's my platform. And of course, there's so many issues that the Attorney General weighs in on, but those are the ones that I have put on my website as priorities. And I'll stop now and thank you for listening. I'll have a few more comments about how you can help me, because every candidate needs help. Every candidate needs people's help. As Jenny said, money, volunteers, support in all these ways. But I wonder if there's any questions, Marilyn, that I can answer, because oftentimes that's where the real interesting material comes from.
Joe, we can do this in several ways. We can have people raise their hands. We can have them enter in the chat, or we can just have them speak up, although that's hard on Zoom. What's easiest for you? What do you prefer?
I think hearing people and their inflection is helpful. So I would say the second or third one, they can either, be recognized by the moderator or just pipe up.
Okay, great. If you're interested in asking a question of Mr. Jaworski, if you can raise your hand, it's kind of easy to do it in the chat. You can just kind of find your name and click the little more button or find your little picture and raise your hand there. Or you can try to raise your hand on the screen. I can't really see very well everybody all at the same time though. So, or if you just want to speak up, you're welcome to do that too, but I'm sure he'll be happy to answer questions from anybody. And those of you who are on YouTube, I am watching the chat and I'll be happy to convey your messages to him. So you just type them in the chat and I'll be happy to give them to Joe.
Camille, did you raise your hand? Okay.
There you go.
Go to unmute yourself, please.
There you go.
Hi, so great to see you again, Joe. I am so happy to be here. Thank you so very much. Hi. So the question is, I am working right now with the Lydia Bean campaign. We're doing like 3 times a week phone banking, and we're just reaching out. And I want to know, what can we do for you? What exactly can we do? What do you want us to do for you? We're ready. Just let us know. Do you want us to phone bank? Do you want us to just whatever you need? Just let us know. We are ready. I am ready. We have experience and we're ready. I think that you're the best candidate, and we need you. We really we did it in Georgia, and believe me, we were from all over the United States. We had people from all over. We had vote for us. We had people working. We had boots on the ground, getting people out there with the vote, and we're ready for you. Just let us know what you need, and we're here. So thank you so much for being here, Joe.
That's very supportive, very empowering, Camille, and we're going to take you up on it. So what I'd like to do is have your phone number, and I can actually put my email here, because I know we want to be careful about privacy, but Jaworski for Texas. And why don't you email me that so that we can create a communication? What I would say right now is we can do a lot of this electronically. Given the fact that the Texas primary is March 1st, 2022, our goal, honestly, is to be the only Democrat in this race, because that means we can then begin our general campaign earlier. It is anybody's right to jump in the race. I can only disincentivize by offering a positive option where people think, AG, all right, check. Let's look at some other races. because the deadline to file obviously is December, mid-December. But I think if I were to ask for something like right now, meaning in the next 3 or 4 months, it would be to take my website link, which is jaworskifortexas.com, and send it out any chance you get. I mean, that's kind of a great way while we're still sort of working our way out of COVID to spread the message. So I'm gonna, it's obviously the same domain, but Jaworski for Texas, and that is the website that we have written all our platform and some of our editorials and lots of pictures and endorsements to where people can get a real good sense of the campaign and what I stand for. And people can email me as well. Secondly, Camille, let me just say that the $25 and $50 and sometimes $100 donations really do add up. I'm proud of the fact that we started early. We have raised now $450,000, which is a good, honest start. This allows us to record and film our first ads this month. I mean, I'm going to be in Galveston next week and in Austin later that week. And then by April, we'll begin to send our nicely produced images, videos to people's IP addresses on their phone and via email. So money absolutely matters. And nobody need to carry the burden themselves. It's just, as each may and as each can contribute a sum meaningful to them. That will be used. It will be putting oxygen in my lungs, honestly. And then the actual ground game. So right now it's all relational ground game. Tell your friends, tell your colleagues, any chance you get. My campaign coordinator, Callie Brown, will send to whoever you designate a whole bunch of these handsome physical palm cards. In other words, we have some literature, as they say, that you can hand around town. So if you guys would tell me who to send that to, we'll send you hundreds of them. And these are not, these won't go stale. These will be something you can hand out next year as well. So there you go, Camille. Thank you. Right on.
So we had a question on YouTube. Someone asks, I'm interested in hearing about regulating Texas energy companies, ERCOT, etc.
Sure. And this is, I'm writing this down. So first off, ERCOT itself, big difference between me and Ken Paxton. ERCOT, which should be sued by anyone who has suffered damages, will no doubt plead the defense of sovereign immunity, essentially saying we're part of the government, you can't sue us, we're immune from suit. And unfortunately, Ken Paxton, well before the winter storm and the ERCOT failure, the grid failure, last September entered an appearance in a Supreme Court proceeding against ERCOT where he supports and filed a brief in support of ERCOT's assertion of sovereign immunity. So I don't think he's going to take that back. I have challenged him in the public domain called Twitter to reverse himself. And, I doubt that he will, but someone needs to call him out on it. So let the record reflect that he's already gone on record with ERCOT and will no doubt keep that position. I will be pleasantly surprised if he reverses himself. In the meantime, were I Attorney General, I would do more than just file a sort of throwdown lawsuit against Griddy, which now has declared bankruptcy. So good luck. He needs to go a little further and be the one who holds the solution. I mean, like 10 years ago, the report came out from Federal Energy Regulatory Commission describing exactly what Texas needed to do to winterize and weatherize its equipment. Didn't do it. It was a political choice. Again, the leadership would rather fight culture wars and argue for their reelection because they're protecting freedom, right? And it's just all consultant driven. It doesn't actually save anyone or put money in your wallet. So I would simply say that as Texas Attorney General, I would be on the side of the consumer. That is the core responsibility, really, of a Texas Attorney General's office. And the transmission companies that decided to shut off the power to Galveston, for example, for 4 days would be held accountable. I know people literally who died, and I'm not exaggerating. Not. I think I saw Ann Gail Smith with her hand up.
Yes, thank you. Just to tell you a story, a friend of my family's was Sam Dash, and he worked on the Watergate case. So my,
Fabulous.
Yeah, it's crazy. He was a friend of my father's. I know a number of, we're in a very red Republican area, as you know, and I know a number of Republicans who voted for Joe Biden. They have come up and told me that they voted for Joe Biden. They could not possibly vote for Donald Trump. And they voted for a number of other Democrats. I want your letter to Republicans. So when you finalize that, I've already looked at your website and see all the points and the priorities. And I'll be glad to send anyone who I know who would be even vaguely receptive, some talking points and the website material. So I'll mute myself. I'm just making that comment.
Oh, that's great. Ann Gail, thank you so much. Well, you take a look at my email there. And if you email me your address, your email, then I will send it to you. And it'll be yours to use. What a great idea. I mean, we have, honestly, I don't mind saying it. We need Republican votes in November 2022 to turn the tide. And you would think, Republicans who found George W. Bush, just the right temperature, would be inclined to support Joe Jaworski over Ken Paxton. I mean, I want to make it to where that's so. I certainly can manufacture a good lather at my home base Democratic clubs. Okay. And I don't want to ever make a position that I can't support in a general election. So I'm not going to do that. And that's why I think my platform, speaks for itself. And every point I just gave you is bipartisan if people simply will think it through. But I agree with you, Ann Gail. I think this is probably something, I could actually see on our website an open letter to open-minded Republican voters. That would be something that might actually get a little attention. I think I'm going to do that. That's a great idea.
Okay, I saw the email. I'm going to have to log off, but I appreciate it.
Just when you're ready. Yeah. Okay.
No. Got our votes for sure.
Oh, Ann Gail, thank you so much. An open letter to open-minded Republican voters. How about that? Okay. Good idea. Nice. Oh, look, Camille's like, excellent. Got it. Nice. Well, now I do respect you, Camille. I mean, it's, I've always thought about spouses that, typically vote opposing parties, like my aunt and uncle, Bob and Claire Draper. Now, my wife and I often vote the same, although we've differed sometimes in primaries. Okay. Well, what do you think? What do you think, Marilyn?
It doesn't look like, Marilyn, I don't see any other questions. Does anybody else have questions for Joe? He's given us some great information.
Oh, yeah. No, it's, and maybe I'll just offer this concluding comment just to see Stacy and Marilyn, if anybody has any final question, is that, I think, was it Ann Gail who mentioned about Sam Dash being the friend of the family? I have to share this story. When Watergate, was underway, I was watching cartoons and wondering, what is all this, congressional testimony doing, interrupting, Mighty Mouse or whatever it was I was watching after school. But by the time the Saturday Night Massacre happened, I was 11, a little older. And when I turned 12, the spring of 1974, my grandfather was, in the heat of it. He had heard the John Dean tape from the Oval Office where Nixon is suborning perjury and telling Dean, well, just say you don't recall. They can't challenge that, And what I remember my grandfather later would write is how devastated he was that an attorney would be suborning perjury. Somehow it was bad that it was the president, but it made it even worse that it was a lawyer. So my grandfather was very much a classic attorney, and he made his mind up right then and there that, oh my God, Nixon is in it up to his eyeballs. That spring break, we're talking, around like this part of the month in 1974, which is 47 years ago. I stayed with my grandfather and grandmother for a week at their hotel in Washington. You know, this man had the burden of the nation on his shoulders, and he said, we need to invite the grandchildren up to see this. I mean, what a family man, Leon Jaworski. And what I remember is they had a large Wells Fargo safe in their suite at the Jefferson, and a little kitchenette. And so when you take the elevator up, my grandmother would be making her spaghetti red. I mean, they cooked their meals there, and he would put his briefcase in this huge, safe and close it, made this big clanging sound and lock it, because, you know, the whole point of Watergate is they broke in to steal, you know, the papers of the Democratic National Committee. So we can't have that in the Watergate prosecutor's room. I also remember walking with him to the headquarters on a cold, crisp March morning. And as I remember it, he had his briefcase handcuffed to his wrist. Now, I have not been able to confirm that, but in my 12-year-old memory, that's certainly what it was. He would later that year go on to argue U.S. versus Nixon, the legacy of which no man is above the law, not even the president. And he would win a unanimous decision. And then he would later go on to counsel President Ford to pardon Nixon because he felt like he couldn't get a fair trial. I mean, just an ethical lawyer. You can disagree with some of his conclusions, but he was never in it for himself. Best proved by the fact that when it was time to write his Watergate memoir, and he called it The Right and the Power, which was exactly what Al Haig, who then Chief of Staff Al Haig, said to him, Leon, please be our prosecutor. We shouldn't have fired Cox. The country's revolutionary. And he says, well, I don't want to be treated like that. And Haig looked at him and said, whatever you need, Leon, you'll be given the right and the power to go to the highest office, wherever it leads. All right. So when he was given his advance for the book, my grandfather declined it. He said, I can't possibly accept that. And they were just like, what? He goes, I cannot benefit off my public service. You know, again, you know, what year was this? You know, 1974, 75. Well, his partners and my dad prevailed upon him. Look, you don't have to personally benefit, but we created a foundation out of that money, the Leon Jaworski Foundation. And it's a very modest foundation. It's worth about $2.5 million, but every year we kick off about, 120,000, mainly for Baylor Law School, Baylor College of Medicine, and, communities and schools, the Urban Debate League, and other sort of communities. And I'm a vice chair on that. And it's just a real honor to have his legacy to be part of my everyday life. And so what I promise people is I'm not doing this for a career. I have a good career right now, but what's more important than that is restoring faith in public service. It is not normal what we have, and the children and the younger generation that will lead one day need to know that. And so it's incumbent upon mature leaders who have the capacity to serve to do so, to restore equilibrium in our state government. And that is why I'm running. Well, thank you all so much. Yay.
Thank you for speaking. You're very inspiring.
Oh, Marilyn, thank you very much. And Comal County, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. So Joe's website again is jaworskifortexas.com. We'll have it on all of our, on our social media platforms where you found the information about this evening's presentation. So be sure and check him out and support him. Kim, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Please.
I was just going to say that once we get the cards from you, we'll put them at our Comal County Democratic Party headquarters office.
Oh, perfect.
So that'll be available. And we send out a couple of newsletters, and so we'll be sure to let people know that they are there at the office to be picked up.
Oh, that's great. And we'll have plenty more. I mean, we're getting them printed in Austin, but we have a bunch to share. So I see that you've put your address up there, and I'm sure Callie's taking note of that.
Excellent. I see Ty Fullerton has his hand up, and he is the acting chair of Comal County Democratic Party.
All right.
Hey Joe, how's it going today for you?
Hey Ty, it's good. It's good. It's the electricity's on, and
Yeah,
it is warmer. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a quick question for you. It's a little bit different. I'm getting away from the political aspect of it.
Sure.
I feel in a way you've probably answered it with all that you've been talking about. But I really like to know what drives people. So do you have a personal philosophy or code that you like to live by?
Yes, don't lie. I was just,
there you go.
Yeah, don't lie. I mean, because it'll catch you. And
Mhm.
and I mean, it is exhausting to consider the lies that some people build on. And so it's better just to confront an uncomfortable awkwardness, tell the truth, and think about how helpful that is as a lawyer. I mean, we all want to please our client, and we want to have the good answer, but sometimes, being an effective advocate or lawyer, you have to tell people an unpleasant truth. Sometimes it's, I don't know, and but I'll find out. So I think that would be a philosophy. And also, Ty, I think the other thing is music always makes things better.
Oh, I like that actually.
Yeah,
I like
a lifelong drummer. Yeah,
oh,
I'm a lifelong drummer. Yeah, yeah. And what's great is a little known fact about Joe Jaworski is that I should have gone to law school in 1987, but I didn't. Oh, wait, 84. Beg your pardon. But I went to law school in 88. Well, what about those lost 4 years? What did he do? Well, I played drums in a recording and touring band out of North Carolina because we all graduated from Davidson College, and we called our grad schools and said, we're not coming. And we were on the road a lot, got very familiar with the Eisenhower interstate system, and were nourished by a lot of Waffle House late night meals. And what's great is we retired. I like to use that word instead of broke up. We retired before CDs were even commercially available. So we were totally a vinyl band, but in a masterpiece of resuscitation that would make Walt Disney proud. Other Bright Colors, my band, is now available on Spotify. Yeah.
All right, I'll have to go give that a look.
Yeah. I'll put that up here.
I definitely appreciate that. I like to know what kind of drives people. I probably could have guessed the lie one, just because it's kind of been in your message there for sure. But I think a lot of people would appreciate that. Yeah, as Kim said, I'm the acting chair for the party right now. Hopefully when COVID gets better and possibly goes away, I'd love to set something up with you here in Comal.
Oh, please. Yeah, no, I'm ready to start traveling.
Yeah, me too.
Joe, you were speaking of music. I remember Beto shared his playlist. You got to do a playlist.
I did, and I tweeted it out, but I do have a Spotify list, and I'll send that out again because that's a good thing to do. Yeah. It's all, trust me, it's all like real dated, but you got to be yourself. I mean, I think I saw my first live concert in 1974 when I was 12 years old, so it would have been right around the time of Watergate, actually. But what a great time it is to share good music with everyone.
Anybody else?
Yeah, if we can get Beto to run, we got bass and drums covered.
Yep.
We'll just have to get a singer and
maybe Jenny.
Yeah, Jenny. What do you? Shirley.
Not me.
I don't think, but I can do keyboards. I can do that.
There you go.
There you go.
That's what we need.
Hey, new campaign tactic.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
well, I mean,
go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say Pappy O'Daniel, did it way back in the early part of the 20th century. If you recall, that was his deals. He would play this music. He had a little band that would travel around with him.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Looking forward to it. So anyway, well, I thank you everyone for joining us. This won't be the only time that we have both Jenny and Joe here. Hopefully we'll do one in person, as Ty was saying. You certainly can remember that wonderful event at Krause's where we had almost the entire ticket for the primaries at Krause. Krause is, I don't know if Jenny and Joe know about the place, but it's a German restaurant that has an outdoor garden, a beer garden type area that's covered. And that's where it was held. So it was very nice out there.
Lovely.
Yep.
Well, that's the place to go.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a nice evening and glad that it's not snowing. I will definitely never look at snow again the way we just experienced in February. I used to always want to have it to snow. No, not anymore. So
no.
Anyway. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Everyone wave goodbye
Thank
to you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Good to see you, Callie, in person.
Good to see you, Kim, too. It's so nice meeting you face to face. I wish we could be in person, though.
Yes. So good. So good. And I'm sure we'll be talking again.
Perfect. Perfect.
Right,
Thank
great.
you for hosting this and hosting us. Appreciate you.
Okay. Camille, do you want to say something? Oh, just waving. Okay. Okay.
Thumbs up.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. See you later.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on